Anyway, appreciate the help. I
Okay, so today I'm gonna screw around with AI and help people.
so
Maybe
today
I'm gonna screw around with maybe help people use AI to help with board game design. Maybe we'll see if that actually happens. Okay, so let me start off by saying, AI. I've seen a lot of people use it, like friends and whatnot, and I see them like barely scratching the surface. But I can understand because like you really have to play with it quite a bit and understand that you can do so much with it. I'm a very creative person, and whenever I'm working on designs, I use AI to help out, not just for research, for actually helping me design stuff, prototype stuff, work on it. Not for like illustration and graphic design. I mean, everybody knows, the world knows that we have enough controversy with that, but this is how I use it to continue to be creative as often as I can. Um, I've got about 20 or 30, maybe more projects that I've worked on using AI and basically prototyping them out in HTML. Um, it's a lot of fun and it really gets my creative juices going. The way I look at it is if I had somebody else in the room or if I have a friend or whatever, we're doing it online and they're helping me with ideas or we're just brainstorming, I would bounce ideas off of them and they would bounce them off of me. And that's a little bit of what AI can do. AI is also just a workhorse. You can just tell it, hey, build this, and then it'll build it. But it's a constant fight. When you're using AI, just remember it's a constant fight, um, to go against what it's hard coded to do. I say hard coded like if I know much, but basically it has tendencies to do things, and you have to know those tendencies or see them or just be very aware. It's like having a dumb genius with you. Uh, One of the tendencies that it seems to have is it likes to, well, it starts to be creative and it just does things, but you have to remember that AI could probably design something all by itself, but AI is the average. So when it's doing something creative, just remember its suggestions are the average suggestions. We don't want average. We want spectacular. We want to bounce our ideas off of AI. We want to take AI's ideas, the average ideas, and we want to make them better. We want to turn them into our ideas. We want to use those. It's a lot like, you go through life and you take all this information that you gather during your day. If you're a board game designer like me, you're like, oh, that would make a badass board game or whatever, right? So it's kind of like that in your pocket. Like someone you can just say, hey, that would be a badass idea. And then it would, like, yeah, that would be cool. And then it'd start going its own direction. It's like, no, 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 no. That's what the average person would design. That's not what we want. We want our own designs. So anyway, the other thing you have to take in consideration is that AI, when it codes, it fixes problems that it perceives that exist, even if they don't. AI is going to change your design and make it average. If I tell AI, hey, build this thing, and I tell it exactly what to do, and it builds it, and the things that I didn't get information for it'll hallucinate stuff into, or it'll make its own stuff, and that stuff's all going to be average. Then you'll have to go back and change that stuff, and then when you're changing it and say, hey, fix this, fix that, as it's fixing that, your unique ideas that you've already put into your project, it'll go in and usually gut that. So if you don't come from a coding background, which I do not, then you just have to be very aware of checks and balances that you put in there yourself. Anyway, so this is supposed to help you with that process. So I use Gemini. I have a paid account. I use it daily. I use it more than a part-time job, meaning I use it more than 20 hours. I would assume I probably use it more than a full-time job. I probably use it more than 40 hours a week, and I use it for bunches of different reasons. My job allows me a lot of free time. I'm not a watchman, but imagine someone who's watching a warehouse, and they have 8 hours or 9. I usually work 9 to 10 hours. 9 to 10 hours of sitting there at a warehouse, and they have to make a round, maybe once or twice every 2 hours. And so they have a lot of downtime. Most people doom scroll. I'm a creative person, so I build games and I think and I listen to stuff and just go forward. Anyway, so let's talk about what we're going to do. We're going to design a game. This is a brand new idea. I have never built this before. Now, I have talked to Gemini today about it just to get a little bit of research in, but that was about it. So let me give you the premise and then we'll start working. The premise is, well, the premise of the video is going to be me walking through my process of building a game from scratch. The game, I'm calling it reverse social deduction. I hate fucking social deduction. So when I say reverse social deduction, I'm just throwing some fancy words in there. If you think about board games and you think about reverse social deduction, that's probably Sheriff of Nottingham, where you're like, I've got a bag, my bag has stuff in it. You're trying to give it to a player. Will they buy it or not? And that bag might have good stuff or not. And you tell them, hey, this is from what I remember. I don't remember it too well because I hadn't played it too many times, but I've got a bag. It's got 2 oranges and a whatever. And then they're trying to decide if they're going to take the bag from you. It's something like that. That is true. That might be true social deduction reversal. I'm not doing that. I'm just coming up with fancy words. Basically, I've been watching a lot of movies about, or not, a lot of documentaries about art forgery. It happened by accident because I was doing research on Renaissance paintings, and then I went into the Impressionist, and because of that, I had a lot of stuff in my feed about art in YouTube, and then it went to forgeries. So I started watching stuff about forgeries, and I got really hooked on this show on the BBC about sleeper paintings, and you buy the painting, and you basically you would buy a painting, look at the painting, and think the reason you bought it is because it could be by someone very famous, but it doesn't have the confidence behind it to make the painting worth more. So let's say if you got, it has Monet's signature on it, or it looks like something done in the style of Monet, but there's doubt in it, so it's only 10%, 20%, or whatever accurate, possibly that it's attributed to that artist. Then in the show, they'll go and try to get provenance. They'll try to do spectral analysis. They'll try to do all these things to try to raise the confidence level in it. And then once they raise the confidence level enough that they say, yeah, it can be attributed to this artist, or, you know, we strongly believe, and then they'll sell it for millions of dollars, or they'll totally get screwed. And like they bought it for $1,000 and it's worth less than that, or whatever. So it just depends on the episode. So I was watching that and I thought that's pretty cool. Like, it's a cool idea to buy a sleeper and whatnot. And I didn't think anything like I'm beyond the point of saying every day, Oh, that would make an awesome board game. Now, I don't do that. I used to do that a lot. I don't do that anymore. I've got plenty of ideas. I've got stacks and stacks of ideas. I don't need new ideas, but they still come. So I was also doom scrolling at one point. I'm not perfect. And a Dr. Phil episode came on, and there was this dude who um, he was accusing his wife of cheating. He was convinced that she was cheating. Basically, he put a video, not a video, tape recorder in his room. He recorded his wife supposedly having sex with somebody. He claims it was her ex, and he can tell it's her ex, but the audio is so granulated and so staticky, you can't really tell anything. You can't even hear the correct words or anything. And so he was on Dr. Phil, absolutely convinced that his wife was a cheater. And then they got a guy who does audio analyst. He was an audio analyst as his job. He went and professionally listened to it, and he said that you cannot 100% tell who it is, but if push comes to shove, he would say that it was the husband. It wasn't somebody else because of the vowel sounds. And then the husband's asking, well, did you hear him say this? Like, look, he goes, look, I'm not listening for words. I'm not listening for anything else except for similarities. Is this you or is this not? And he said, I'm pretty sure it's you, but it's inconclusive because it's so granulated. Okay. Or degraded. So anyway, turns out the guy had cheated before, and it sounds like when you're listening to it, it sounds like the guy had cheated. His wife forgave him, and he still felt guilty about it or something, and he's blaming his wife for cheating. The guy was totally convinced that his wife is cheating, and there was no proof at all. Basically, he's screwing up the marriage that he's in because his wife forgave him and didn't give him like enough grief about him cheating before. The other part that was interesting is that he said something like, I didn't think my wife was a cheater until I heard this audio. And like everybody's like, no, that's not the way it works. The reason why you put that audio in there, that recording device in there, is because you were suspicious, and then you found something, and then you claim it is this other thing. It's like that thing that I always say when you look at somebody's phone. Like if you're looking at your partner's phone, like if you want to look through it or whatever, you're going to find something. You've already found something without even opening it. You'd have to be better than Mother Teresa on a phone to not get caught with something. Like everything can be suspicious. You just talking to a friend that's of the opposite sex. You talking to a friend of the same sex. You, whatever, you can just get busted for whatever. Of course, I'm talking about personal experiences, and I was talking about a heterosexual relationship. But anyway, so my point is, those things were related. I was thinking about the way I look at reality and how reality is a percentage. It's not this thing where 100% something is completely true when you even have doubts that you could be in a simulation or whatever. So this is I'm just kind of going around the background of, I came up with this idea that these paintings, there is no way to find out 100%, or there's very few ways to find out 100%. So it's all a percentage. How much of reality does it take for you to believe in this painting? So let's build a real roguelike where we're trying to figure out. No, we're not trying to figure out. We've got a painting and we're trying to get rid of it. We buy a painting for a small amount, pick up and deliver for a cheap amount, and we're trying to sell it. We pick up a painting and deliver it. Okay. The end goal is Christie's. So we'll make up another name for an auction house. Basically, roguelike, boom. Three paintings come up. Those three paintings, of course, we're not going to care about the art. We're only thinking about the game here. So these three paintings will come up. We decide which painting we want to do. Maybe they have a percentage of possibility that they're not, let's call it, what did I say a while ago? Confidence. We'll have a confidence meter. And this confidence meter will tell us, that'll tell us what we want to do. So we go from there, and then we'll have nodes that go out, and then what we want to do is either A, try to go a route where we believe that it's real. So we want to go, do spectral analysis. We want to go find the provenance of this painting. We'll do research of different types. Maybe we'll we saw that the painting, there's something wrong with it. We want to fix that. Whatever we need to do to try to up that percentage. We go talk to historians. We talk to other experts that believe that it is real, whatever. And then we have the other side where we don't even want to do that. We want to take it to a forger. We want to age it. We want to do all these things. So one of the things you would want to do is research this particular subject, because obviously we don't know a whole lot about it. We just know what this show summarized. So we want to build a roguelike. We're thinking about board games, and I say board games, and this is actually a video game, but they're adjacent, and I'm looking at this as a board game, or maybe eventually we'll demo it out as a board game at something. But we can't really do that because we don't have other players in the room. All we have is Gemini. This is my process because I like to have something that works and that I can play with. So from there, let's actually start. So I just went to Google Gemini. I have an account. It's better to have an account. You don't want to use Flash. I think it's Flash. You've got 3 different models. You got the fast model, thinking model, and pro model. The fast model, they used to call it Flash, is the model that can answer questions quickly, but I prefer the pro and thinking, solving, the bigger model. So you need paid account for that. Roughly it's going to cost you $25 a month. I pay about $50 because of the amount that I use it. If you use it too much, they'll give you a message saying you can't use it till whatever time. They'll give you a time limit, like you can use it in 8 hours again. That's when your token limit resets or whatever. So let's talk about how you use it and whatnot. So what I need to tell you is, okay, there's a lag between you and the server side. So when we start programming, this will make sense that sometimes you need to refresh, you need to make backups, there's all these little prep things you need to do. It's not easy, but it's also not hard. Like I said, you have a dumb genius with you. Has all the books of all the encyclopedias ever made, but can't tie their own shoes. So let's start. How do we want to start? So one of the things I want to do is just show you some of the tools. So up here, one of the first things I do whenever I pull up Gemini is click Canvas, because this is the environment that allows for code. Okay. I also have a microphone set up with it. I also have a read aloud text to speech, just in case, because sometimes Gemini will not read it to you if you ask it to. So we're going to do this very verbal. We're not going to do this at, not very good at typing, not very good at spelling. So I'm doing this with all these limitations. Okay, so let's start off. What are we going to do? We will, let's make a notebook. Okay, so it's going to write you code. So one of the things you need is a notebook to save this code as HTML. So let's start. We're going to prompt Gemini here. I need something like Notebook++. I need you to make it in Canvas as an app. I need you to make it in HTML. You're welcome to use CSS and JavaScript. Basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to paste code in there, and hit the save button, and I would like it to save. I would like also the ability to write a file name, but it'll save as HTML. It also needs a preview window. All I'm going to do is paste in the code, make sure that it's right by looking in the preview little section, and then I'll hit save. Maybe it'll prompt me there for the file name, or it'll have maybe a generic default name in there, and like html.html or test.html, and I can just change it there or whatever. But you get the idea. I want something like notebook++, and I want to be able to paste code right into the application, and I want to be able to save it as HTML. The only choice that I need is changing the name, and it can be defaulted to some name where I don't even have modal that'll pop up or anything. Modal doesn't necessarily need to be there. I just need to be able to text something. So there, I prompted Gemini. As you can tell, I'm just talking to it like I talk to a normal person. I'm not even reading through my prompt because there's probably a lot of misspelled stuff, because sometimes it has a hard time understanding me and it'll put whatever, but in general, it should get the gist of it. If you look right here, it's got punctuation in the wrong place in my prompt. If I start looking through here, like here's a period and an and, like it's all screwed up, but it should be able to figure it out from there. So there it is, writing it. It said WordPad. Boom, here we go. Hello world. Great. We've got that built. Okay. We'll open another tab and let's start playing around. I've got an idea for a board game, but we're going to make a roguelike web game. It's going to be HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Period. It's going to be about artwork. Now, I've watched a BBC show where they have these paintings, and they basically buy these sleeper paintings, and they try to see if they can become, they call them sleepers. A sleeper painting would be a painting that is possibly by a well-known artist, yet nobody knows that this painting is, or it hasn't, the confidence behind the painting isn't high. So they'll try to track down the provenance of this painting. They'll try to do spectral analysis. They'll try to figure out, and by the end of the show, there's a verdict on whether it's going to be accepted. Obviously, most of the people want to bring in a painting that they bought for cheap and sell it for millions. Some people are just happy to have the painting, but we're going to make a game about this. I called it reverse social deduction, meaning I have places I'm trying to sell it to. So like at the beginning of the game, I might try to sell it to some bum down the street that'll buy it for 10% more than I bought it for, because they want to do the research and find out if the painting is worth more than I bought it for, or they believe it's worth more, so they'll buy it for more. But the final boss is Christie's, but we'll call it somebody else. We'll call it some other female name, maybe Ruth or whatever. We'll come up with the name. That'll be the final boss. But here's the idea that I have for the workflow. It would be, boom, start the game. 3 paintings come up. We don't have to worry about the artwork. We just have to worry about the percentage of confidence. So maybe you have 10%, maybe one's like 40%. Obviously, one can be like 75%. In the game, we're not trying to find out, and we're not going to code in whether it is authentic or not. What we're trying to do is sell paintings, pick up and deliver. Very beginning, 3 options come up. They have percentage of confidence. We pick one of the paintings. then we're on our run. Think Slay the Spire meets modern art, something like that. I don't know. You get the painting, that's the first node. And then off of that, let's say there's 4 or 5 other nodes, and those nodes could be one, check a museum records. 2 could be take it to a professional to analyze the style. Different ways to improve the confidence level if it were in fact of the artist. And of course, all these things cost money. So you start off, let's say, $1,000. You buy a $700 painting. You decide to go do spectral analysis. Spectral analysis costs, $200 or whatever. We'll have to do some research, find out what kind of that stuff costs, and figure out take a loan. I don't know. Go and do that. Go to that node, spend that money, and then, that ups the confidence. Maybe we'll figure out if we're going to make that a variable where there's a possibility that confidence is lowered. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Then, maybe the next layer load. So like your closer nodes are going to be the cheaper things you can do. And it expands out and expands out and expands out. And at first you're only upping it by a few percentages, like 2, 3%, 4%, whatever. Then you expand out to a bigger node section where, you're getting closer and closer to Christie's. But between here and Christie's, there might be some jackass that wants to buy it. So maybe in the first thing of nodes, some dude offers you, if you bought it for, what was it, $700, they'll offer you $200 more so you can sell it like right from the beginning of the game, maybe. Or maybe he wants 55%. He wants 55% assuredness that it's real, but you go to another place. I mean, you have a painting that only has 40%, so you have to go through these little nodes and then go back to him and sell it, and then boom, that's the end of your run. You start another run. We're not doing much except for going to nodes and paying. Some of those nodes are going to be forgers. Some of those nodes are going to be people who will help you age the painting. Some of them will be able to maybe repaint sections, remove paint to make it like maybe it was painted over. In our first run, we don't want to make it possible to go all the way to Christie's. But, in later runs, we want to take a painting that we buy for like $500 and take it all the way and fight all these nodes and go all the way to Christie's and auction it off or whatever. And maybe they need like 95% assuredness that it's real. And so you might have to fake it, or you might have to forge it or whatever. In the game, like I said, there is no way to tell whether we're not going to say absolutely this painting is real, this painting isn't. We're going to say that it's all about perception, and we want to up that percentage of the confidence. Maybe we pay off a historian, whatever. We'll figure it out. But that's the game. Start it, buy a painting, up the percentage, find out, try to sell it. Try not to get to a point where you run out of money and you don't have any more nodes and you're stuck with the painting. Then you're the owner of this painting, game over. That's like the sad part. Wah, wah, you've got this painting done. I'm not asking you to make the game. Do not code this game. Let's make an action plan to talk about it, and then that'll let us get into details of what we think, and then we'll start prototyping soon, but not yet. Let's just work on an action plan. I forgot to put canvas. Okay. So we're basically, you see what I did. I just talked about my game. This helps me because I do my best designing in a flow state of conversation. And sometimes when it comes to the detail of my conversation, so let's say if I'm pointing at something and I say the color red and it's actually blue, it's because I can't access that part of my brain at the moment. I'm trying to flow through the complete larger idea. You'll probably see me do that a lot. Okay, so here's what we have there. What we're going to do is, okay, right here, sometimes you click the, what do they call that? Whatever kind of menu they call it. The three dot menu, click it. Usually right here, you have a thing where you can listen to its answer, but we're not able to do that. So because of what I told you that I added, I'm going to go right here, right click, read aloud. It's a extension for Firefox. I'm sure there's an extension for about any browser.
I love this concept. Taking the mechanics of Slay the Spire, node-based pathing, but applying it to the high-stakes, pretentious, and slightly shady world of art dealing is brilliant. The perception is reality mechanic, where we don't code in actual authenticity, only confidence, is the perfect hook. It turns the game into a bluffing/resource management puzzle rather than a detective game. Here is the action plan to get us ready for prototyping.
Okay, and then we're going to read the second part of it and see what they say.
This action plan sets up the engine of the game. The most interesting part to me is point 1 under decisions to make. Can confidence go down? If we stick to perception is reality, then a bad spectral analysis result is devastating. It means the market now knows it's likely fake. This makes the scientific nodes high risk/high reward, whereas the forger nodes are low cost/moral risk. What do you think about that risk factor? Should we include bad news outcomes from nodes?
Okay, so this is gold. This is like me talking with my good friend Lyndon, bouncing ideas back and forth. What it just said was, do we allow if there's spectral analysis, can it fail? And now we're dealing with some crappy painting. How the average person would deal with this? Random event, die roll, whatever. Let's not do that. I like games with certainty. So before we read the action plan, we're going to talk. So, okay, I'd like to bounce these ideas off of you. Let's not change the action plan. We're just brainstorming here. Do not touch the action plan we currently have. So let's bounce this idea. What if when you take it to, like, you have a node that's going to do spectral analysis, it tells you how much it's going to add or minus. So it's already predetermined. There is no random events here. The random part was the map generation or the node generation. So that's already done. And let's add a fog of war, by the way, but we'll do that later. So you go to a node. Let's say your first node, you get the 3 things, boom. Then you see all the nodes in your immediate vicinity. There's a forger. A forger can take a 10% confident painting and take it to 35. Your painting is 20. You see a node that does spectral analysis, which will add 5% confidence or whatever the percentage. I'm just throwing in arbitrary numbers here to try to get to what I mean. The next thing you could do, there could be another node that says spectral analysis will fail minus 15%. So to take it to this forger, you need it 10%. The other node is a forger who will up it to 35. So you do the math. You go, well, I can either go the route to where I fail it, so I can lower the percentage, go to the forger, and then up the percentage because he has a small window that he'll work in, and that's the gamification of it. Then I can go, and now I'm at a 35%, which allows me to sell it to maybe a local guy that'll pay me a little bit for it. And maybe his threshold is 34%. If I go the legal route, let's say I go to a provenance node and they say they can up it by 5% by showing me a bill of sale, I'm only taking it from 25 to 30. If I do it this other way and go these other 2 nodes, I go up to 35% and I can sell it. But the game part is the cost. What is the cost to take it to get it failed or fail it? The cost of getting the analysis, and then the cost of the forger, and then take it to the guy. And will he buy it? Will I make more money by selling it to him, and then I can start another run? Or do I want to go the long way, up it by a little bit, make a little bit of money, and then I might run out of money before I can ever prove that this painting's real? Now remember, this is only brainstorming. Do not add anything to this action plan yet. We're bouncing ideas, so let's talk about it. Okay, so that was my prompt to Gemini. Now notice I gave it instructions. I should have told it make sure not to code, but I didn't. That might be bad. I told it we were brainstorming. Hopefully it just stays in brainstorming mode. It doesn't just automatically start spitting out code. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we have this. I haven't read what he said. I'm going to export this document. You can save it and do it whichever way you need to do it, but I'm going to export it because, I use Google Docs and all that. So here it is. It's saved in Google Docs. For right now, we'll call it the Sleeper Project. So we'll go here. We'll call it Sleeper Project. Make sure that it's saved, and we'll go here and let's see if they understand what we're talking about, and if they say anything that will give us new ideas. Anyway, so here you see before we had export to doc, draft in Google, and report legal issues, but now we have listen and double click response. We want listen or double check response, whatever.
This is a fantastic pivot. You are effectively moving the game from a slot machine style, pure luck, to a path optimization puzzle strategy. This reminds me a lot of Into the Breach or Slay the Spire, where you see exactly what the enemy is going to do, and the fun is figuring out how to manipulate the numbers to survive it. Here is a breakdown of why this specific combo system works so well for this game. 1. It turns bad news into a tool. In the previous version, getting a -15% result was just annoying. In this version, intentionally tanking the value becomes a strategy. The scenario: you have a painting at 20% confidence. The problem: the Master Forger node adds plus 40%, but he refuses to touch anything above 15%, because he only works on junk to avoid suspicion. The move: you deliberately visit a harsh critic node. He insults the painting, dropping confidence by -10%, down to 10%. The payoff: now you qualify for the forger. You go from 20% to 10% to 50%. The cost: you had to pay the critic and the forger. You spent health, money, to execute a combo. 2. The logic gates, the window. This adds a layer of depth to the nodes. Instead of just plus or, the nodes have conditions, ceilings, only works if confidence is below X%. Floors: requires at least X% confidence to attempt. Multipliers: doubles current confidence, great at high levels, useless at low levels. Setters: sets confidence to exactly 50%. 3. The fog of war factor. You mentioned adding fog of war later, and that is the chef's kiss on this mechanic. If you can see the entire map, you can solve the math perfectly from the start. With fog of war, only seeing 2 to 3 nodes ahead, you have to take risks. Example: do I lower my confidence now, hoping a forger appears in the next row? If I lower it and no forger appears, I've just ruined my painting for nothing. 4. The economy of steps. This really highlights the money equals health mechanic. Short path: pay a small fee to a local historian, plus 5%. Safe, cheap, low reward. Long path: the loop: pay to lower confidence to pay to forge to pay to wash the painting to sell. The long path results in a much higher sale price, but it costs $600 to execute. Do you have the bankroll to survive the journey? My take: I think this is strictly better than random chance. It makes the player feel like a mastermind art dealer manipulating the market, rather than a gambler just hoping for a good roll. It fits the theme of manufacturing provenance perfectly. Does this align with your vision? If so, when we get to the prototype phase, we will focus heavily on node conditions, if greater than X, if less than Y.
Okay, so it understands what I'm talking about. We have two paths from here. We can either clarify and expand on the brainstorming, or go ahead and add it, have it put this in the action plan. I think it's safe to say let's add this to the action plan. Now we have a saved version that's safe. Let's find out what's in the action plan.
Action Plan, The Sleeper Project. Genre, roguelike/resource management/strategy platform, web, HTML/JS/CSS, core loop, buy sleeper-invest in provenance, nodes, sell for profit, or bust. Phase 1, the core philosophy. Perception is reality. The golden rule, the game code will never know if a painting is real or fake. It does not matter. The stat, the primary variable is confidence percent. 0% equals a child's finger painting. 100% equals undisputed masterpiece. The goal, manipulate the confidence percent high enough to trigger a sale to a specific tier of buyer before running out of cash. Phase 2, the run structure, the loop. A single run consists of acquiring one painting and attempting to move it up the chain. 1. The acquisition, start. 3 paintings appear. Stats. Cost, example $500. Starting confidence, example 15%. Potential label, example attributed to Turner. Player state, you start with a limited bankroll, example $1,000. 2. The path, the map. Visual, a branching tree map, left to right, similar to Slay the Spire. Distance, the map ends at the final boss, the auction house, but has exit ramps along the way where you can sell early. Movement cost, does moving between nodes cost travel money? Or is the cost purely inside the action of the node? Recommendation, travel is free, but every action costs money.
Okay, so as you can see, there's a pause feature in the text. So I'm going to pause it and say right now, well, I don't envision it going from left to right like Slay the Spire. We're going to do something that goes maybe circular. We'll have our original node and we'll have a circular amount of nodes around us, because it needs to be the nodes need to branch out. Like, that's the game. So we'll try to remember that.
3. The nodes, the actions. We need a mix of legitimate science and shady manipulation. Scientific nodes, high cost, reliable gain. Spectral analysis, cost $300. Adds plus 10% confidence. Risk, low. Dendrochronology, would.
Okay, so while it's doing that, we want to increase our knowledge of, like, do some research. We can have Gemini do research while we're doing all this stuff so that we'll have the right wording and the right ideas. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm doing some research on there's a show on BBC where you buy a paint. The people have a painting, and they try to prove if it's authentic or not. And of course, the main thing in the show is, like, they talk about a sleeper, meaning a painting not attributed to an artist or not sure that an artist did it. And then during the show, they increase the confidence of what that painting's worth. Some are forgeries, some are students, some might have been done in a studio environment where the master and students both worked on it. But anyway, so sometimes you have, like, a painting that might be attributed to, let's say, Monet, and then by the end they find out that it's not, or by the end, there's like a 95% confidence, and then maybe the people who had brought or emailed the show about the painting, then they get to sell it for millions of dollars or whatever. So we're doing research. We're eventually going to make a game about this, but I need research about what steps would you take to examine a painting to see that it's real, and what steps would you take to make a painting fake? What kind of buyers would you come across? Of course, you have auction houses and individual buyers. What are the things you could do with the painting to make money? Let's say if you buy a painting and you get it to like a 65% confidence, or like a 50 or a 10% confidence, or 90% confidence. Obviously, at the end, you're looking at Christie's or whatever, an auction house that's prestigious. But like along that path, you might have other people you could sell that painting to, depending on the level of confidence. Maybe you could possibly sell it in a catalog, or maybe you could sell it to a friend. You could sell it to an art house. You could sell it to an extravagant millionaire. I just want a list of possible people you can sell it to, ways that you get it authenticated, or ways to forge it. Basically, I'm doing research on possibly making a game about this show. Also, what was the name of the show? Maybe give me some prices on some recent things that were like they bought it for $1,000 and sold for millions, or they bought it for $1,000 and ended up selling it for $500. I just want to get an idea of what I'm looking for, or what I'm looking at when I'm building this game. So we'll have it do that research on the side. We'll continue.
Dating
here.
cost $400. Adds plus 15% confidence. Research nodes, medium cost, variance. Archive dig, cost $100. Adds plus 5% to plus 20%, RNG based on what you find. Track previous owners, cost $150. Manipulation / shady nodes, low cost, high risk. The forger, add a fake signature. Cost $50. Adds plus 20% confidence but adds a suspicion tag, risk of getting caught later. The restorer, remove overpaint, actually just scrubbing it. The bribe, pay a historian to write a favorable article. Event nodes. The market crashes, all confidence drops 5%. A trend emerges, impressionist paintings gain 10%. Phase 3, the buyers, the enemies / exits. Instead of fighting monsters, you are negotiating with buyers. You can cash out at specific points on the map. Tier 1, the pawn shop / the
I
room.
like that idea. Pawn
Location,
shop.
early map. Requirement, 20% confidence. Payout, low, 1.5x purchase price. Good for quick cash to fund a longer run later. Tier 2, the private collector / the gallery. Location, mid-map. Requirement, 50% confidence. Payout, medium, 3x purchase price. Tier 3, the final boss, Ruth's auction house. Location, end of the map. Requirement, 90% confidence. Payout, jackpot, 10x, 20x price. The battle, at Ruth's, there might be a battle phase where the auctioneer asks questions and you have to spend remaining cash to defend the painting's validity.
I don't
Phase
like that.
4, economy and lose state. Money is health, in this roguelike, your HP is your cash. Damage, every node you visit damages you, costs money. Game over. Bankruptcy, you run out of money before reaching a buyer who will accept the painting's current confidence level. You are stuck with a painting you can't sell. Exposed, advanced.
That gave me an idea. We can also look at taking a loan against the painting. Hopefully I can remember that.
Mechanic, if you use too many forger nodes, a buyer might inspect it, realize it's fake, and confiscate it. Phase 5, meta progression, the roguelike element. Why play again? Reputation XP, selling paintings earns reputation. Unlocks. Unlock cheaper experts, spectral analysis costs 20% less. Unlock new contacts, the master forger node appears. Unlock higher starting bankrolls, allowing you to buy more expensive / higher potential sleeper paintings. Phase 6, UI visualization plan. Since we are using HTML / CSS. The painting, center screen. As confidence goes up, maybe the frame gets fancier. The map, SVG lines connecting div
I
circles.
like that.
The stats. Top left, bankroll, $. Top right, confidence, %. Visual style, dark academia. Wood textures, parchment backgrounds, typewriter fonts, red wax seals. Decisions to make, discussion points. Risk of lowering confidence, should a scientific test ever backfire? Example, you pay for spectral analysis and it proves the paint is too modern. This would drop confidence by -20%. It adds tension but might be frustrating. Inventory, do we carry one painting at a time, focus, or a hand of paintings? Recommendation, start with one painting per run to keep the loop tight. The boss battle, when we reach Ruth, is it you?
Okay, so what we're going to do is take our brainstorming that we just did, and we're going to add it to our action plan and fix our action plan where it understands that the only thing really random is going to be the beginning nodes, like where the nodes are at. And thinking about that, what I would like is the nodes that are closer to the beginning are nodes that, you're dealing with up, down, 5, 10%. And nodes that are later either require a percentage or require that you visited so-and-so place. So, like, let's say you go to a spectral analysis thing, and it's like maybe there's something before the spectral analysis, or maybe there's levels to the spectral analysis, or maybe you go to a scientific place where they're like, let's say you go to a college, they have a version of a spectral analysis machine, they test it, it's inconclusive, but it gives you another 5%. And so on one level, you're looking at, what are they? You're looking at the percentage of confidence as a key to unlock other nodes. And they're small windows. It's not like if it's positive 30, you'll go here. No, it's in a window, especially on the forgery side. The other thing is maybe you have to go to your local college before you can go to, maybe it's a, what do you call those colleges that are a community college first, and then from the community college you can go to a university. So it's also collect. So the key to get to the university, they want it to be a 45 to 60% confidence level, plus they want you to have collected light blue and medium blue. And light blue is local historian, medium blue is, what did I say? Community college. So like, it's also set collection, where you're collecting blue, you're collecting red, you're collecting yellow, and you have shades of that, or how many yellows. So I've got 4 yellows. Let's say that's on the forgery side, 4 yellows, but he wants 6 yellows. So I've got to go and try to collect 2 more yellows to get back to that one node. And I'm not envisioning a node system that is like Slay the Spire, where it goes from one side of the map to the other. I'm thinking circular, where you like more like a network, like where you start in the center and then you have these nodes that are around you. And if you look at it like a bullseye, like if you're buying the paintings, the bullseye, and as you go out from that bullseye, you go out to the next level, those are smaller percentages and usually the lighter colors, or collecting one of us. Their gateway to entry is a lot easier. And then as you expand out into other rings, you know, the entry is much harder. So like, let's say I went down the forgery thing and I've been trying to go down forgery nodes, but I might be in a section of the map that has no more forgery nodes and I'm screwed. I have to go to one of my earlier nodes and branch off to there and try to find, you know, more forgery stuff, or more stuff that's more people I could pay off, or whatever. And maybe there's loan sharks, maybe there's pawn shops, maybe, you know, there could be shady elements in the game. So I'm thinking pawn shops would be cool, or taking loans, like if you're getting low on cash to continue on your thing, but that also takes away from your ending score. Like in the very outer ring, you'll have a node, and it might not be surrounded by nodes that are complementary to what you're trying to do. So let's say the Christie's node is on ring 12. You make it all the way to that part of the ring, but you haven't exposed enough because of the fog of war, that when you go to talk to Christie, or you go to try to put it in Christie's, all the nodes around it bring that confidence level down. So you end up having to go to the nodes, bring the confidence level down, go back out and bring the confidence level back up, and then go to Christie's or something like that. So anyway, with these ideas, we'll mix them with, well, here's what we'll do. Let's continue brainstorming. Don't add any of this to the action plan. Add this to what we already have as we're brainstorming. We'll review what we have. We'll talk about it. And then if I agree, we'll put it in the action plan and fix the action plan to take out all this random shit that's in there. Okay, we're going to click that. Remember, I just talked to it. Like, I didn't do anything like particularly prompt worthy I just kind of just spoke, and it's got to sift through the BS. I'm going to go here. This is stuff we already did. Let's see what he says. Well, the other thing, see, right here, I don't have that thing to listen to it, so that's where, I mean, obviously I could just read it, but it's not
This
as fun
sounds like
for
a
me
fantastic
to read it to
concept
you.
for a game mixing detective mechanics with high-stakes economics. The show you are looking for is called Fake or Fortune. It is a BBC series hosted by Fiona Bruce and art dealer Philip Mould. I have compiled a research document for you below. It breaks down the gameplay loops for authentication versus forgery, creates a hierarchy of buyers based on confidence percentage, a great mechanic for risk/reward, and lists real-world price jumps to use for your loot tables.
Okay.
I have generated a markdown file named game_research_art_detective.md that contains a breakdown of the show Fake or Fortune, the mechanics of authentication and forgery, a buyer hierarchy, and a loot table of real-world price examples. Suggestions for your game design. The sleeper mechanic. In the game, you could browse auctions with a gut instinct skill. You see a dirty painting listed as unknown artist,
Yeah,
pound
this
50.
is stuff that's not
If
relevant
your
because
skill
it
is
doesn't
high,
know the game
you
we're
get a
making.
hint, this looks like a Monet sky. The restoration minigame, cleaning a painting is incredibly risky. If you use solvents that are too strong, like acetone, you wipe away the paint and destroy the value. This adds great tension. Dead ends. Sometimes, the painting is real, but the committee, the final bosses of the art world, refuses to accept it because they don't want to devalue the existing market. This adds a political layer to the game.
Ah, that's something I
Let me
hadn't
know
thought
if you
about.
want me to expand on the scientific tools or specific forgery recipes.
Politics. That's something to think about. Again, we don't have that option to listen to Gemini because I guess if its prompt is too slow, I mean too small or too long, too short or too long, it won't give
I
you
will
that
create a
option
new file
usually.
called brainstorming_notes.md to capture these new ideas, the bullseye map, token collection, and deterministic logic, without altering your original action plan yet. This allows us to review and refine the mechanics before we commit them to the main design. Here are the notes on the new puzzle/strategy direction. Review and discussion. This structure changes the game from a roguelike adventure to something more like a strategic heist puzzle. My thoughts on the logic gates. The idea of collecting colors, light blue-medium blue-dark blue, is brilliant because it simulates building a paper trail. You can't just walk into Harvard University node with a painting you found in a garage. You need the paper trail from the community college first. Question for you, regarding the circular map, do you envision the player being able to move freely around the rings, like a spinner? Or are they still somewhat limited to moving to adjacent nodes, like a spiderweb? Spiderweb, you can only move to nodes connected by lines. Free roam, you can spin the ring to visit any node on that layer, but it costs travel money. Once we settle on this, we can merge these ideas into the action plan.
Okay, we're doing spider webs. I would like it where you can only visit nodes that are adjacent to other nodes. Adjacent. Now, if you looked in the prompt where I put, it said nodes that are adjacent to other nodes. I could fix that, but let's see if it'd figure it out. So here's the thing. If you are talking to Gemini, most of you are just going to type. The way to do it is what I do is I'll copy, paste what I've already got in there, right? Delete it because I have it in. Oops. I screwed this up. Where is he at? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I copied it. It's in the clipboard. I'm going to continue where I left off, or I can just not do it. So, like, I'll delete that. The other thing we want, Fog of War only shows one node away. So at the very beginning, you'll have all the nodes visible that are connected to the starting node, which is the pick your painting node. We also want to look at periods in history. So let's say when you start the game, you'll be looking at modern paintings. And it'll slowly go, eventually you'll get it to the Impressionists, and then even more you'll get to the Renaissance painting. So you might get to the point, if you play it enough times, to get to Renaissance painting, and that's where you can make a fortune. But maybe some of the nodes are a little different for that. Also, we maybe think about politics, because I was doing a little bit of research and I found out that some authenticators will not authenticate a painting because they don't want to devalue the market because there's another version of the painting, or even if there's another version of that particular painting, it would bring down the value of that painting, or that painting is a copy. One of them is a copy, and they're 90% sure that this one is the real one or whatever. The other one might lower its value, or just like if there's only 10 Leonardo paintings attributed to him and they find one more, well, that kind of lowers the price, or it can perceivably lower the price. So we have politics, we have intrigue in there. We have a bunch of interesting ideas for nodes. Yeah, so let's go ahead and build the action plan, and we'll refine it as we keep talking. Okay, so I stopped. Like, it doesn't give me the option to hit the mic, so I'm not going to hit it because I can't. What I could do is go here. Remember, I have stuff in the clipboard. Paste it, and that was the beginning. And what I could do is Control A, copy, delete, and continue talking if I have any more ideas, and then do the same thing again, paste it and continue on, and then let's just give it the information. Oh, actually, I'll give you an example. So I'll copy all that. Now, remember, we're only building an action plan. Do not build the game. We don't want any coding. Okay, so now we'll go here. Paste that in front of that. It's working on the action plan. Okay, we want to go ahead and copy this, the action plan, when it's done. And we're going to paste it here in our document so that we can save it if this is good. Let's listen to what's our action plan. What do we got going on?
Action plan, The Sleeper Project. Genre, strategy/puzzle/roguelike platform, web, HTML/JS/CSS, theme, high-stakes art dealing and provenance fabrication. Core hook, perception is reality. We never define if the art is real, we only manipulate the market confidence percent. Phase 1, the core philosophy. Confidence is king, the primary stat is confidence percent, 0 to 100. Health is money, every action costs money. Running out of money means you cannot move or act. Deterministic strategy, randomness is in the map generation, not the outcome. You know exactly what a node will do, plus 5%, minus 10%, etc. The game is a sequencing puzzle. Phase 2, the map system, the spiderweb. Visual layout, a bullseye or spiderweb structure. The hub, center the auction house, acquisition phase. Inner rings, local/low-tier contacts. Outer rings, international/high-tier institutions. The rim, final ring the high-end buyers, Christie/Ruth. Movement rules. Adjacency, you can only move to nodes connected by a web line to your current node. Backtracking, allowed, if a line exists, but costs travel money. Fog of war. You only see nodes one step away from your current position. Start, you see the 3 paintings and the first ring of nodes immediately surrounding the center. Implication, you must scout. You might head toward a university sector only to find the path blocked by a market crash node. Phase 3, node mechanics and logic gates. Nodes are not just static bonuses, they are puzzles with entry requirements. 1. The logic gates, windows. Nodes have specific conditions to trigger. Floors, requires confidence 20%. Ceilings, requires confidence 40%. Example: a shady forger won't touch a painting that is already too hot. The strategy, you may need to visit a harsh critic node, who applies minus 15% confidence, just to lower your stats enough to fit into the forger's window. 2. The key system, token collection. Provenance is built by collecting keys, or stamps/papers, from specific types of nodes. Color coding. Blue, academic local historian, light blue, university, dark blue. Yellow, shady pawn shop, light yellow, master forger, dark yellow. Gatekeeping, the National Museum node might require. Confidence, 60%, 80%. Keys, 2 light blue plus 1 dark blue. 3. Politics and intrigue, new layer. High-level authenticators act based on market self-interest, not truth. The devaluation mechanic. If a specific artist market is saturated, high-tier authenticators will reject the painting to protect the value of existing collections. Example node, the Da Vinci expert. Condition, if confidence 90% reject, outcome, minus 30% confidence due to public denial. Strategy, you must sell before hitting the ceiling, or find a bribe node to bypass the expert. Phase 4, progression, the eras. The game evolves through historical eras, acting as difficulty/complexity tiers. Tier 1, modern art, tutorial/easy. Liquid market. Lower stakes. Politics are minimal. Tier 2, the impressionists, medium. Introduction of forgery mechanics and chemical analysis. Harder logic gates. Tier 3, the Renaissance, hard/expert. High politics, museums actively fight against new discoveries to protect their assets. High reward, selling a sleeper Raphael is the ultimate win condition. Complex chains, requires specific combinations of science, spectral analysis, and history, archive digging. Phase 5, the economy, survival. Liquidity crisis, you need cash to move and pay experts. Emergency funding nodes. Pawn shop, quick cash, small confidence penalty, looks desperate. Loan shark, immediate cash, but takes 8% of final sale, or breaks your leg/game over if you don't sell high enough. The bailout, you can cash out early at lower tier buyers, ring 4 or 5, if you know you can't afford to reach the rim. Phase 6, UI/visualization plan, web tech. The view, top-down 2D canvas. Player is a token on the web. Unvisited nodes in fog are grayed out or invisible. The HUD. Bankroll, dollar. Confidence meter, with windows marked visually to show where you need to be for nearby nodes. Inventory, collected keys/papers. Aesthetics, dark academia. Colors, sepia, deep reds, gold leaf, ink black. Fonts, serif/typewriter style.
Okay, so it made up a lot of stuff. So a lot of that stuff I do not like at all. But that's fine. We'll fix it. Part of, I think, game design is playtesting. Throwing a bunch of arbitrary shit out there. Like, whenever you're building a game, and you're going from point A to point B, and you know, hey, I need to go here, I need to get money. Over here, how much money do you get? Or whatever. So you have to arbitrarily throw money in there, and then later on refine it. The trick is to remember what numbers you threw in there are arbitrary and can be removed. Because a lot of times whenever you're showing a game and you think you're confident that the game is finished, at least finished enough to show to, a publisher or whatever, they might ask you, or another developer or playtester might ask you, why is that $5? Why, if I go over there, I get $5? And your answer is, because we put it in the prototype. That's not good enough. You failed to really explore. I mean, maybe that number's right, but you need to test other numbers. You need to remove the arbitrary stuff. And that's a trick. That's just game design 101. Anyway, so we have something. We basically know what we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the contents of this. It's better than the Google document. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in there, save it. So that's our latest version. Go over here to make sure we have it copied, copy contents. I'm going to give you an action plan. In this action plan is information about a roguelike that I want to build. I want you to help me build a prompt to one shot make this game work with Gemini 3.0. If we have to do any back and forth to figure out particular numbers or anything, let's do that. Okay, so I am going here. Remember, I forgot to hit canvas. So there. Do we need to add anything? Probably not. So let me go through the couple ways we can do this. I'll go here. Okay, this is the one we just did, right? I'm going to copy this prompt. Both of these have the same prompt. Okay, I'm going to go over here. Back to our, this is the action plan, I believe. Let's go to the top, make sure it's the action plan. You know, I could copy it from here or my doc, but here's the action plan for it. Then I'll go to here, and I'm just going to paste it in here after what I said, right? There it is. There's several ways we can do that. That's one way. The other way is we're going to take this and which we could save it as a document. So let me do that. I'm kind of going to do that off camera, but I guarantee you I'm doing the same thing. I need to make a file, a text document or something to upload that. So I'm doing that off camera. I didn't really perceive that I would be doing this, but I am, to give you an example of how to do it. I'm going to save it as a text file. And let me find where. Put it somewhere real quick. We'll go here. We added that, and we're going to put this plus file thing. Upload file. We'll upload that document. I should have named it, but I didn't. We'll upload that document that talks about what we just did. Oh, looks like I did the wrong thing. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close that. There's a limitation to how many things you can upload. You can upload only 9 documents at a time. So just know that you can upload them separately, but you need to give your AI the information it needs to know what's going on. Let me copy this off camera, put it where it needs to go. Paste that in there. All right, so we're here. We'll upload this. Make sure to open Canvas. Canvas is the environment that, we interact with it with HTML and code and also documents. So now it's got that. So here's us just uploading that. And then here is us using, this is copy and pasting, and this is us using a document. We won't see they're completely different. Can you write this prompt in the Canvas area, please? So I can easier copy and paste it. Now, you might think it's strange that I tell Gemini thank you and whatnot. They have done research. This was on earlier models. I don't know if it's on these models, but on earlier models, the nicer you are, the better results you get. Like if you're a total jerk and start cussing and stuff, you can almost make the AI nervous or something. Like it can possibly not, it can possibly hallucinate more. It just affects the project negatively. Sometimes you can't help it. I know that's a crazy thing, but it's true. Or at least it was true on earlier models. It also wrote an action plan. Let's go here. Can you write me this in Canvas so I can easier copy and paste it? Okay, so boom, here we go. It wrote an action plan. We can export this to documents so that we have it. Project prompt, that's easy. Then what we'll do here is we'll say, use this action plan to make me this game. Then here, it's still working. It's done. Use this action plan to make this game. So we have it generating the game, 2 different versions of it at the same time. These are my documents for it. As you can see, it start writing out all the code. I mean, it might have a decent version. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. While we're doing that, both generating, this is the stuff about, this is the research. Let's go ahead and copy that. And what we'll do is we'll talk to Gemini, the one that came up with the original action plan of the game. Okay, so what I would like to do is give you information that we can put in and out of the game. What I want you to not integrate it to the action plan. We're just going to brainstorm using this document as information. We can go back and forth and figure it out. So we'll call this just a brainstorming phase. Do not write any code and do not change the action plan we currently have in Canvas. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add that information that we researched. Well, it already has the game. Boom. It's going to think about it, and then we're going to brainstorm on the show. Then we're going to go here. All right, so we have something. All right, the interesting thing is it didn't give us what we wanted, the 3 pieces of art to go forward. Confidence is a little high to start with. Here's this version's a little bit better. Check this out. All right, abstract study, risky, 40% confidence in the painting. Let's see what happens. Let's go with this one. Boom. I like the layout. I don't know if it's any good. Okay, so what do we have here? This, we should be able to, okay, so this is the current node. Let's change some of this right off the bat. I like where you're going with this, but on that current node system thing, I would rather a modal pop up and it tell me, it just feels more natural. And let's go ahead and take that journal off of the left side. We're just going to do the game in the center, or the information that we want on the right side like you have it, but the map can be visualized without that journal. If you're going to put the journal in, which isn't too bad, but we'll put that on where we'll have to scroll on the status section, maybe underneath current node, or we're removing that current node thing and putting journal there, and we'll have current node where you just mouse over and it'll show you a current information about that node that you're wanting to go to. Okay, so we're going to have it fix it. We'll go here and look at this. At the very beginning, you should have 3 options. It should be a modal that comes up, and it's like a roguelike, so you'll have 3 paintings to choose from with different levels of confidence. Nothing above 40%. Let's just make it where, we're starting off very low, and we'll go from there. Let's go ahead and put the information like money and all that. Maybe we need information on the right side. $1,000 isn't a bad place to start. I just don't like, I like that the nodes have modals and they have information on them. I don't like that I didn't get to start with the painting. Yeah, let's fix that where we actually start off with 3 paintings and then we choose a painting and then we go on our journey. I like the colors. It's still working. We can go on this side and see as it, oh, it's done. There we go. Okay, so Acquire a painting, fabricate its history, sell it before you go bankrupt. I like it. I like the style. I think it should look a little bit more like that, but I don't know. Let's pick a painting. We'll pick that painting. Okay, boom, like that. That's pretty cool. And let's say here, travel's $100, 50%. I mean, a $50 fee. Requirement nothing, minus 17 confidence. If we go here, that's $500 total. Confidence plus 60%. I like that. So let's go here. Boom. All right, now I've got 2 nodes. What the hell is this thing? Provenance journal. This is kind of interesting because it does this story thing. It's not what I would do for a board game. It's neat for a web game. What do we have here? It's still doing its thing. See how many lines of code we have. It's writing out the code. There, it's done. Preview it. Here's its version of the game. Start the deal. It doesn't have scroll bars, so I can't see it. I need you to write some scroll bars in this game because I can't see all the paintings that are for sale when we start the game. So please put some scroll bars in there. Yeah, let's go from there. Okay, so let's say we like this game. This is only a start, and I don't necessarily like the game. I like the direction we're going. This is kind of cute. Here's what we'll do. We'll get the code. We'll copy the contents. We're going to go over here. Remember that WebPad++ thing we wrote? Put that in there. See, you can see it in there. And then we're going to go ahead and call this test 1. And then we'll save it. There we go. And now we have that version of the game. So off camera, let me get the information for you. So we can kind of look at it. Where did I put it? There you go. So there's the game in browser working from this document that we made. I guess it's working on the scroll bars here. And that's a start of how you would go from an idea to getting Gemini to start prototyping for you. We'll work on it a little bit. I have a few things to do, so I'm going to go off. I'm going to turn off the stream for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then come back and start streaming from this place forward. Maybe. Or at least that's the plan. But anyway, so that's from concept to building apps to making a plan, a little bit of research, and starting to make the game or prototype the game. I will be back in a few. How do you turn this damn thing off?